I am in Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, and as you can see, I am here all by myself. In case you missed our last video, here's a very quick recap. Linz and I were flying from Thailand to Istanbul, where I got this great idea to continue the journey to Belgium without taking a plane. But Linz had a slightly different opinion.
I think it's a great idea, but I mean, it's also your idea, so I don't want to be too involved in it, so I think you should just do it by yourself.
So we traveled together from Istanbul to Bulgaria, where our roads separated, and I continued this journey on my own. This is okay, you know, we both have our own likes and our own dreams, and we are spending a lot of time together, so from time to time it's actually refreshing to be on our own. But for the sake of this video, I thought it would be fun to add a little bit of drama, and I found a really good place for that. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who is interested in the Museum of Broken Relationships. Basically, the museum is a collection of stuff that people donated together with the story of how it was related to a relationship. Some stories are beautiful, like the spectrum of a star given from one astronomer to another. Some stories are funny. Some stories are creepy, like this 27-year-old piece of skin. And some stories are just heartbreaking. This is the unused wedding dress of someone whose partner died during a terrorist attack a week before the wedding. In the end, it's a collection of random things that happen to carry a very strong story. A bit like life itself, when you think about it. Before it gets too emotional, let's talk about the positive sides of traveling solo. I am free. I can do whatever I want. I can eat and sleep whenever I want. And if I want to go out at night, there's nobody here who can stop me. I could tell you some stories, but in fact, and you are not going to believe this, I actually found a museum that can picture it. The Hangover Museum is really one of a kind. They let you pick a drink for the road. I chose rakia, the local spirit of Croatia. And then they take you through all the different stages of a heavy night out. It starts with a bar, where you start drinking. You get more and more drunk, you start stealing road signs, and if you're not used to drinking too much, they give you these special goggles to get the feeling. Along the way, you can read the drunk stories of others until you finally black out. And then you wake up in a room you don't know with a sticky floor and a dirty bathtub. I gotta say, this museum is not just a praise of getting drunk. They will also give you a bit of history of alcohol and about its dangers. Yes, that's right, it's barely noon and I already had a rakia. But just so you know, they offered me a second one at the end of the tour and I had to refuse because I wanted to be able to still be understandable in this video. You're welcome. Anyway, the fact that this city has both a museum of broken relationships and one of hangovers got me pretty much sold. It says a lot about the sense of humor of the people here, and this is something I can very much appreciate. And Zagreb also has another value for me. This is the city where 6 years ago our big trip around the world started. But we didn't really stay in the city, we just rented a car and drove to the coast to visit the nature resorts, which is apparently what most people do. And it's a shame because this is really a nice city. I will skip all the main tourist sites like the churches and focus on a couple of things that I find particularly interesting. But it's a Saturday today, so it's probably that the city will be packed. Although Croatia is still a Balkan country, this city looks nothing like the other Balkan cities. In fact, if somebody would have dropped me here without telling me where I am, I would probably guess that I'm in Italy. Filming on my own in these masses, that's really out of my comfort zone. Something I can very much appreciate about Zagreb is that most of the center is pedestrian zone. But if you can't walk or if you don't like to walk, there's also a very good tram system that can take you to all different places in the city. Even to go to the upper city, there is some kind of tram cable lift. There is one more place that I want to show you in the city, and that is the Bridge Tunnel. This tunnel is part of a whole complex of tunnels that exist under the city center of Zagreb. It was built during World War II for supplies, I guess, and then afterwards it became quite infamous because it was the place where a lot of underground rave parties were being held. But now it became a tourist place and you can just visit this and walk under the city of Zagreb. It's actually not totally a tourist place, it's also a place to get from point A to B in the city. But sorry for the noise behind me, it's also a place where people like to make echoes. If you enjoyed this more alternative tour of the city, or if you wish that we would include more tourist hotspots and churches, let us know in the comments. We will keep it in mind for the next videos, but for Zagreb, it's gonna be too late because I'm leaving tomorrow and I'm really looking forward to a beer. Živeli, that's Croatian for cheers. Getting from Zagreb to Belgium is pretty straightforward. I'm on a bus right now to Vienna in Austria. There I can jump on a night train and by the morning I can be in Belgium. But that is not what happened. I'm in the bus station of Vienna and I realized that Czech Republic is basically just around the corner. I've never been there and I'm not really in a hurry, so how about we do a little detour? This is my first impression of Czech Republic. I'm in a city called Brno, that's B-R-N-O. It's like they missed a vowel. And I'm staying in an Airbnb here. It looks nice, a bit sterile. I think they built it specifically for Airbnb. There are also a million lockers downstairs. My first idea was to go to Prague, but when I saw the Airbnb prices in Prague, I think I would be making a video right now, Nick went broke in Prague. Which is actually not such a bad idea for a video, maybe for another time. But so we are in Brno and over there is a church, so I think that is the center. Let's go have a look. I did a bit of research on the way here and it seems that Brno is a very historical city, but also very alive. There should be about 80,000 students living here. And there's also supposed to be a nice art scene. I'm not sure if this is art or just random stuff people dropped, but let's call it art. Art. Definitely art. Kebab. More art. More kebab. This is the most controversial piece of art in the city, not just because it took 3 years to build, not just because it costs more than $500,000, but mostly because of its shape. So here's a quick quiz. What is it and what does it look like? Don't leave your answers in the comments because I imagine that some answers might get both you and I kicked out of YouTube. Just remember them and I will tell you the answer at the very end of this video. I guess that this is the central square. It looks very squarish with a fountain and some historical buildings. And of course, a McDonald's. Maybe this is the central square. It does have the cathedral nearby. Or maybe it's the market square. Who knows? I could look it up on Google Maps, of course, but sometimes it's better to leave things to your imagination. Just like I'm imagining right now that it didn't just start raining. Sunglasses seem to be very unnecessary today. I was on the phone with Linz earlier today and she told me that in Belgium it's actually excellent weather. You gotta know, earlier this week I was joking with her that she was going to Belgium where it's always cold and rainy and I would visit all these warm countries. That's karma, people. Like, never mess with karma. And then my tree started leaking, so I had to get out of there. Oh, slippery. More art. Eventually, I found a bar where I would end up spending most of the afternoon until finally the rain started to stop. This is not what I expected my only day in the city to look like, but for you it's not gonna make that much of a difference. This was never gonna be an educational vlog about Brno. I hardly know if I'm pronouncing the name of the city right. But there's one more thing that caught my attention. It's not a piece of art, it's a statue of a horse with the legs of a giraffe. It's not the statue itself that is supposed to be very interesting, but everybody on the internet says that if you walk under it, you get a big surprise. So let's go have a look together. I don't really see it. Okay, I think I found it. If you look at the head of the horse, it has a specific shape from this side. Again, please do not tell me in the comments what you think you just saw. Brno is definitely a city I would like to see more of on a less rainy day. But now it's time to leave because there's another very specific place in Czech Republic that I want to visit for a very specific reason. If you don't understand Germanic languages, Pilsen is another word for beer. So basically, I'm in a city called Beer. To give you a bit of background, Pilsen is a certain type of lager that was first brewed in this city. But as time passed by, many people just started to use the name Pilsen as a synonym for lager. So nobody ever called the city Beer, but Pilsen beer was named after the city. The fact that the city is called Beer was enough for me to have a stop. But there's another reason why I came here. Something that kind of worries me. You know how there's this endless fight between Germany and Belgium about who has the best beer? Whatever the Germans tell you, it's wrong. Their beer doesn't get anywhere near ours. They do have really good sausages though, I give them that. But apparently there is a third country that's going for the crown. Czech Republic. I start hearing more and more that Czech beer might be the best in the world, so I want to know what the fuzz is about. I posted a message on Twitter to ask what the best Czech beer is, and apparently most people answered Pilsner Urquell, which happens to be from this city. Pilsner Urquell was first brewed in 1842 in the city of Pilsen and is considered the original Pilsner-style beer. The revolutionized brewing techniques became the foundation of many modern lagers. And because of its rich history, Pilsner Urquell Brewery is one of the oldest and most iconic breweries in the world and continues to be celebrated as a symbol of Czech brewing excellence. That's all very impressive, of course, but in the end, the proof of the pudding is always in the tasting. This is delicious. I hate to say it, but this beer perfectly fits in the line of any Belgian lager. But of course, what makes Belgian beers so famous is not the lagers, it's the beers with more alcohol, like a Duvel or Val, Rochefort 8. And to compete with those beers, Czech Republic still will have to work a little bit, I guess. Now that we've set this straight, I think that it's really time to go home. But first, I have some freshing up to do. Better. Better. Much better. My journey ends in the same way as it began, with a good old-fashioned night bus. None of this would exist if I had just taken the 4-hour flight from Istanbul to Belgium, but instead I chose for the road that took me through a wonderful and somewhat undiscovered part of Europe. The road that became the source of so many memories that will last a lifetime. And I will have enough time to revisit these memories because I'm on a 12-hour-long bus ride with so many stops that it's gonna be impossible to sleep. For the last part, I had to call a friend because stupid Belgian public transport doesn't work on Sundays, and then home.
Welcome home!
I really enjoyed traveling solo, but it's also great to be home again.
Are you being honest?
We are going to spend the next couple of days having quality time with the family, and then we are going to embark on a different journey, somewhere far away, but that's for our next video. So if you don't want to miss that,
make sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you want to see more videos about Europe, make sure to check out our channel because we already made a lot of videos about different cities and different countries. And if you don't want to miss anything from next week, put on your notifications and we just see you next week. Bye!
Bye-bye. It is, drum roll, it's a clock and it's supposed to look like a bullet. Who would have guessed?